What is going on, Cover One crew? Your boy Chris Chow's back again. Hope everybody's doing fabulous. I'm doing great because we're continuing down this path of Senior Bowl players to watch. This time wide receivers. Hopefully you guys checked out the running back edition. Got that video down there as well. Lots of players to discuss, man. There is a boatload of wide receivers to talk about. Maybe not on the top higher end echelon wide receivers this year, but there's very good value players, I think, in this with Senior Bowl this season. And I mean, it's good. We got to take some time. We got to dissect. Like I said, I jumped in the lab, first high level view of how I see these players right now. Some things may change as I break down more film, but I got you covered this entire offseason. Scouting reports, rankings for Dynasty. If you like the content, man, hit that subscribe button. Stay for a while. I got you covered all the way into the new season, fantasy football wise. We're always talking football in some fashion. That's what we do here. But man, let's talk about some of these Senior Bowl wide receivers because I'm getting excited. Games this weekend. It's going to be great. So much like the running back talent, there is some good pieces here. Maybe not to the elite standard that we're expecting and have been spoiled with of recent memory in this NFL draft. There are some good talents in this draft, no kidding. But there's some guys here that are really going to try to carve out a name for themselves. Trey Tucker from Cincinnati, very interesting prospect. Ronnie Bell from Michigan, I dig his game right now. Chopped up some of his film. He's looking pretty good. Jaden Reed, Michigan State. He impresses and then he goes away. He's one to definitely look at. Elijah Higgins, Michael Wilson, both from Stanford. Puka Nacua from BYU. He is one that's interesting also. Trey Palmer from Nebraska. Grant DeBose from Charlotte. And then we got the American side. We got Darius Davis, TCU. And the way TCU played, Davis is definitely one you got to keep your eye on also. Nathaniel Dell from Houston. Xavier Hutchinson, Iowa State. Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss. He's one as well. I've watched a number of his contests already live, and I think that they're very good, and I can't wait to break down his film. It's going to be interesting. Rashee Rice making a lot of noise these days as well, SMU. Jalen Wayne, South Alabama. Andre Yosevash from Princeton. Hopefully I got his name right. It's a tough name. And then, Don Wicks from Virginia, man. I mean, these names, man, crazy. Hopefully I didn't butcher anybody's names right now, but right now for today's show, what I want to do is talk about Ronnie Bell from Michigan, Puka Nacua from BYU, Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State, and Rashee Rice from SMU. What do you say we talk some Ronnie Bell, man? 6 foot, 192, Michigan product. The Wolverines and under Harbaugh as they started to continue to move forward. Bell was one of these guys. I mean, he dealt with some level of injury, didn't get the top-end productivity we wanted to see out of him, but he is one of these talents that with a good Senior Bowl, he could definitely lift up his stock, and I do believe he will do that. He's one of these, I want to say these good prototype wide receivers you could probably throw in the slot a little bit more, and he could be very productive as well. It might be home for him in the slot in the NFL. I haven't decided fully yet, but like I said, I'm still early on the film study. This is high-level film study right now, but I mean, I do like his game enough to warrant a watch list player. 41 games, 145 receptions, 2269 in yardage, 15.6 on the average, and 9 touchdowns for a Ronnie Bell. He's got good speed. I want to say acceleration is very much there. The good speed overall, I don't think it's going to harm him in the NFL. 4.4, 4.41, 4.42 in the 40, I think is where he's going to be home. The accelerators are definitely there for him to break free and create some separation that way for wide receivers. Receivers can separate in multiple ways, and I think Ronnie Bell does that pretty well with his accelerators, man. He does have some good hops and jump ball ability. I do like that about his game. Very long arms. The catch radius does get, that much more improved. Something like a Devonta Smith we see with the Philadelphia Eagles. His arms are ridiculously long, which helps aid him in those jump balls. We saw it in the NFC Championship game, the catch he was able to make. Maybe Ronnie Bell isn't necessarily to that level of talent, but he does have long enough arms where the catch radius does improve from that aspect as well. He is a good yak yard wide receiver, good ability in that sense. So that's what I'm saying. You put him more in the slot in the NFL, maybe that's going to be home for him as well. He can go deep, but I do like the ability, if you put a guy like with this skill set and talent, maybe they can convert him into a slot wide receiver. Still to be seen, but I do believe there is, the ability there to do that for him, especially with the yak ability. Very solid hands, not elite, but they're good, and I think it's not a downtrend for him at all. He is a hand catcher. He is going to be able to make a lot of good catches come his way. Like I said, dealt with some injuries. 2021 knee injury was there. Basically lost his entire season. Not enough to put on tape, but I mean, he has dealt with some level of injury. That's been a problem for him. He does have punt return ability, which is a very good positive. One great way for a day 2 or day 3 product to keep himself on an NFL roster is to contribute on special teams, and he definitely does have punt return ability. The full route tree for me right now is in question, hence why maybe the slot may not be there for him, because he's got to run a little bit more routes. But the slant routes, the digs, they're there. The button hooks could be there as well. So I don't hate it. I think it's something that he could round out of his game, and he could definitely beat a lot of these slower linebackers and nickelbacks in the NFL based on the accelerators. Like I'm saying, I do believe that Ronnie Bell is a good talent, and this is a monumental game for him to put his name on the map for people to say, who the hell is Ronnie Bell? He's a good talent. He's going to showcase that. I totally believe it. I think he's a very good talent in the making. Puka Nacua, BYU. We'll see what he does. I mean, Nacua is one of these guys I'm kind of, lukewarm on at this point. I'm not, selling the farm to say that he's absolutely fantastic, but I do believe he's got some skills that could translate into the NFL quite well. 6'1", 210 is his stature. He is put together that way. He's going to be able to, at least compete with grown-ass men, and I think he's going to be able to do that. Career statistics, 27 games, 107 receptions, 1749 in yardage, 16.3 on the yards per catch, and a decent 14 touchdowns. And I mean, okay, when you're talking about his pros, he's got average to above average speed. He's not going to blow you away in that respect, and I think that's kind of one of those problems. So if they can make him somewhat of a possessional type of wide receiver, I think he could do very well in that respect. Also, he does have a very good route tree that I've seen so far, and I think that I'm okay to put a stamp on that as we sit today. The route tree is good enough for him to at least manufacture ways to gain separation off the route tree. Sharp cuts and separation is definitely a strength for this man. He is going to be able to get open based on those, traits that do benefit his game a lot. He can separate, and that's, a big positive for a guy that doesn't have necessarily top-end wheels to boot, man. Hands are okay to good. There is some drops, and I mean, it can be rectified with, a couple thousand reps on the jugs machine. And I mean, I'm never going to sit here and tell you that nobody can not improve their hands, because they definitely can. It's a concentration piece at this point. I don't think necessarily his drops are concentration related. I think that it's technique related at this point, and he could definitely improve that as he moves forward. But I do believe that, their hands are good enough that he's going to be able to make some grabs. He better show out in the Senior Bowl and not drop any passes if people want to, put the stamp that his hands are not legit enough to make it to the next level. He's not afraid to go over in traffic. I do like that about his game as well. He's a fighter. He's a dog. He's got some heart, and he's going to put it on the line for y'all. He's kind of a character dude that you're looking for. When you call upon him to make a play in traffic, he's likely going to try his best to make that play. That's what you get from Puka Nacua. I think more than anything is the battle in this man. He's definitely not afraid to go up and get that ball, man. Very good stop and start, go and burst. It's there, right? So when you see guys that don't have the top-end elite wheels, they got to make up for it in some stretch if they're going to make it to the next level, and he's got the stop-start speed to at least manufacture ways to gain separation, and this is what you want. Even slower wide receivers can gain separation. We saw a guy like Stevie Johnson for the Buffalo Bills, one of the best underrated route runners and release-off-the-line players in the NFL at his time. He was very good at it. He shook a guy like Darrelle Revis like he was standing still because he understood how to release off the line, and that's Puka Nacua. I'm not going to say he's up in Stevie Johnson's level, but he does have very good stop and go burst, I should say. Good ball tracker. He does do that very well. Sometimes he does drop those ones because he does get out of position, but he does track the ball well enough to at least be in the situation where he is going to make a play. The issue at hand, like I'm saying, where he's not a Stevie Johnson is because the stop and go burst is usually in the open field where it's not necessarily on the line with his release, because I got a big question mark for his release off the line. He is easy to jam up right now from what I've seen, and I don't like that about a wide receiver coming into the NFL as a prospect. You got to learn how to release off these guys because it's just going to get that much harder in the pros, so you got to know how to beat your defensive back, especially if it's a combination of strength, power, speed, or any kind of, quick feet movements. Puka Nacua's got some work to do in that respect, so I'm definitely watching that as we go into the Senior Bowl. Xavier Hutchinson, next one on my board, Iowa State product. He's a good one, man, and he is that, 6'3", 210 wide receiver that a lot of teams covet. Maybe not so much nowadays, but I think Hutchinson is one of these guys that is going to be a very good professional football player. He played in 37 games, 254 receptions, 29 in yardage, 11.5 on the yards per catch, and a decent 15 touchdowns. So, he's put together, they didn't necessarily have the best quarterback play at Iowa State. Yeah, Brock Purdy was there. I get it. Everyone's going to say, well, Brock Purdy was there. He wasn't necessarily the San Francisco 49ers Brock Purdy back at Iowa State. There was a lot of hit and miss when it came to Purdy. But, Xavier Hutchinson is one of these guys. He did the most with the less that he had at the quarterback position. Like I said, prototypical body frame that a lot of NFL teams still will covet, especially if they can, run very well. His speed right now is on par with the frame, meaning he's probably going to be a, 4.45 to 4.49 type of guy. I want to say if he runs faster than that at the 40 of the combine, I'll be definitely pleasantly surprised because I'm kind of pegging him to be in that 4.45 range, which is not slow, especially for a guy 6'3", 210. I think that's still going to be very, very fast in that respect, obviously. But you see how they play it. Straight line speed as to game speed is always different. So that's why you always got to watch the film and see what the eye test tells you. And I think right now it's on par with what his frame is giving me. I don't think it's a downgrade as a con. I do believe that, it's still very much the speed is definitely there. He does have fluid running style for a big man. I do like that a lot. It gives him the ability 4 yards after the catch. It is seen on tape. He does break free. He does break tackles. He is a very strong wide receiver. So, he does use his muscle and his force to, break tackles and get more yards after the catch. We will see how that does go when he gets into, the professional NFLers. But I do believe he does have that trait that he's going to be able to make extra yards after the catch, which makes me very excited for an Xavier Hutchinson. He does look for contact after the catch like a running back, which is positive in some senses, but a negative in others. But he's always going to be trying to bulldoze over somebody because he does have that physical capabilities to get yards after the catch. He does look for contact like I'm saying, man. He does beat press with all that muscle. He's a grown-ass man. What can you say? He's a big guy, 6'3", 210, very strong, very put together on the upper body. He's going to be challenging all defensive backs on the line with his strength and try to gain some separation that way. I do like that about his game. He does have average to above average yak ability, like I'm saying. He does make plays happen, but he does it with his strength rather than over finesse, and that's fine. It's just the way his game is, how he's put together in that sense. He's not going to finesse anything out of the, maybe 1 out of 8 times you're going to see the finesse type of stuff. Most of it's going to be muscle and then force and power coming out of his game. His full route tree is in question for me right now. Also, I do want to see the more crisp routes coming out of his game. We're going to see a lot of that at the practice facility at the Senior Bowl. I'm going to be watching with extreme open eyes on Hutchinson to see how he's going to be able to do that in that respect. Last one I got is Rashee Rice, SMU. He's making a lot of noise up a lot of people's boards right now. He stands 6'2", 203, and I had to go back and watch several game tapes of his game overall. I should say it that way. But 42 games, 233 in receptions, 3,111 yards, 13.4 on the average, and a beautiful 25 touchdowns. He's got a nose for the end zone. You gotta love that about his game. Took off these last 2 seasons, showcased his ability and his talent that much more. He does, for me right now, have more burst than speed. It's one of those things. Is he like a possessional type of guy, but then you see him able to make the catch, break free, and still run? He gets caught, but if you're inside like the 30-yard line and you put him around the 10, he's catching the ball, breaking tackles, he's able to get into the end zone. That's the type of player you're getting out of a Rashee Rice, which I do like. He's, again, another stout, put-together wide receiver where the NFL's looking at those, gadget-type, speedy type of guys. This is not type of his game, but he does have the ability to do a lot of good things because he is a natural playmaker. That's what makes him so exciting to watch. The over-the-shoulder catches catches we've seen numerous times. I mean, the amount of times comes back to the quarterback on the hooks, able to, snag the ball out of the air. He's a 50-50. Balls are his. I mean, that's the type of wide receiver you're getting out of a Rice, man. Very athletic, very strong hands. Again, you don't see the slapping off the hands, more corralling the ball in, which is what you love to see from your wide receivers, and that's going to be a big staple and stamp on his game as scouts do cover his abilities. 50-50 balls, like I said, they are his majority of the time. Great ball tracker. I like it, okay? Over the shoulder, the separation isn't necessarily there. The DBs are definitely on his tail, and he's still able, as long as the ball's put in the right spot, he's able to make these catches. Tracks it over the shoulder extremely well. Definite plus grades in my respect. Good route breaks. Not necessarily the full route tree, I want to say, is great, but the good route breaks. I mean, the plant step is there, and he does make the sharp cuts to give himself the ability to get the quarterback to put the ball in a situation where he's going to be able to catch it. So, I mean, that's a big positive that you want to see out of your wide receivers. He definitely does that very well. Good break tackle as well, kind of like a Hutchinson. Rice can definitely break tackles as he does run, even though you see a lot of times the defenses corral and go with 2 or 3 players trying to bring him down. If it's one-on-one, Rice, I'm going to bet money on the fact that he's going to break it majority of the time, and he's going to pick up extra yardage. So, I mean, red zone threat, he is going to be one of those guys. Also, maybe the possessional type of wide receiver, but, I mean, he's got like a lesser A.J. Brown to him. A.J. Brown is fully put together, speed, great ability, but I like how Rice does play. His body frame is similar in that respect to an A.J. Brown. Not saying he's A.J. Brown. I'm just saying that he's got that kind of similar, playing style formula that you see on tape. It's very reminiscent of an A.J. Brown back at Ole Miss as well. So I do like Rice, and I'm going to be watching his game as we go forward here at the Senior Bowl. So there you have it. That is wide receivers at the 2023 Senior Bowl. I'm excited. I mean, it's a good showing. Like I said, even for running backs, there's some good players to watch. Maybe not the top-end talent that we're typically used to, some of these talents here at the Senior Bowl, but there are good pieces and good players that will make a name for themselves and lift the draft stock and definitely get you to take notice of them as we get closer to the NFL draft in April. So I'm telling y'all, stay tuned for this game because it's very, very good, and we'll see how these guys shake out. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.